Ahoy there, this is Chief Bones, and thanks for joining me again on Way Anchor. Today we're going to talk about those fancy, new, shiny, wonderful, new, awesome, extremely cool, and high-powered premiums that we're all waiting for. So we already know that the Alaska is coming, the USS Alaska, the American battle cruiser that's going to be just smashing people to pieces, right? Well, maybe not, but the one that everybody's really dying for right now. We already know that it's coming out for 1,000,000 free XP, which is a significantly higher expense than the previous free XP premiums, but it's worth it. They're trying to give the player base more of a feel of expense, right? They're trying to even out the amount of effort that it takes to get one of these premiums, be it a serious amount of steel for some of the reward-only ships, or previously reward-only ships, or the amount of coal that you have to gain, and they're kind of stepping away from the free XP. So that's something they're doing with that. And everybody thought that Alaska was coming out with 0.8.0, but obviously that didn't happen, and that's okay, because I don't know that anybody would have been happy with the Alaska had it come out in the midst of the giant kerfuffle that was the player base reaction to the carrier rework. I'm still in favor of the rework. I still think it's a whole lot of fun, but some people not so much. And if you add a general malcontent player base, if you add them with a brand new ship, you're not going to have a lot of people who actually enjoy the ship, right? But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to talk about Alaska, which new rumors suggest will be coming out with 0.8.2 with the re-release, the rumored re-release of the premium aircraft carriers to the store. But we're not talking about the Alaska. Right now we're going to be talking about the dev blog on Facebook, and we're going to discuss briefly a note that was put up about a week and a half ago. I haven't had the opportunity to address it yet, but for those of you who were unaware, 3 ships, which everybody knew was coming, or rather 2 ships that everybody knew was coming, and 1 that was created because they didn't know what to do with one of the ships when they had to downgrade it from another tier. 3 ships have been announced of how they're going to be released. So let me read the word for word from the World of Warships dev blog. Dear players, we have received a lot of questions about several work-in-progress ships' distribution method. Today we've made the decision about 3 of them, and we're sharing it with you to bring more clarity and avoid any confusion in the future. Azuma, IJN Cruiser Tier 9 in testing, will be available for free XP. Now, as an aside, I would assume that the Azuma will be available for 1,000,000 free XP like the Alaska, being similar tier, but don't hold me to that. I have no inside information. Yoshino, IJN Cruiser Tier 10 modernized Azuma in development, will be available for coal. Now the Yoshino is the Azuna as I... Okay, let me see if I can explain this in a way that I am not giving you incorrect information, but still gets the point across. The Azuma was originally supposed to be a Tier 10 Japanese cruiser, and they found that it was underperforming at Tier 10, so they moved it down to Tier 9. Instead, in Tier 10, because they still wanted that Japanese Tier 10, they created the Yoshino, which was, as the dev blog said, the modernized Azuma, and it is going to be available for coal. Now, given the pricing scheme for ships that use coal at that high a tier at this time, I would expect that this thing would be well above the 228,000 or so coal required for Jean Bart at Tier 9. But don't hold me to that. Again, I have no insider information on that. Finally, Neustrashimy, Soviet, Tier 9 destroyer in testing. Will be available for steel. Now, looking at the various ships that are being released for steel in sequence, the prices for each of these ships in steel seems to be going up and up and up and up and up. Kind of, I guess, in a way that is meant to mirror the amount of times that a player would have to get to rank 1 in ranked battles in order to earn them in the old style redemption method, right? So, like, you would start with a Flint after 2 first places, and then Black after 4, and then Stalingrad after such and such, and blah blah blah. You get what I'm saying. I expect that the Nostrashimi will be more expensive than the Stalingrad. But again, no inside information, this is just a wild guess. The release dates for these ships will be published later in the respective news on the game website. Now that's great to know, because we're getting a little bit of early information prior to these ships actually being finalized and released, which is always good. There's nothing that I think is more beneficial to a game than to have open and honest development processes. Players want to know what's going on with their game, and whenever there's going to be a new addition or a major change, not keeping the player base in the loop is the sort of thing that can really frustrate players. Now, a lot of people don't read the news on the website. That's just to be honest. A lot of people don't read the news in the dev blog, which is why I'm doing this. But I mean, the same day as this particular message was released, there was another message talking about the changes in the hotfix to the anti-aircraft in the new CV change, and nobody, when it went live, when 0.8.0.1, oh yeah, that's a lot of numbers in it. When that went live, there were a lot of people I was playing with who were exclaiming the sudden change in how AA was working and how planes were working, because they didn't know. They just played the game. And that's okay. It's fine for a player to just play the game, but I appreciate when a development group is this open with their players. And there are other developers who are pretty solid at that. Wargaming is very good at that, at least with the World of Warships side of things. I don't really pay much attention to World of Tanks or World of Warplanes, but the World of Warships part of Wargaming is pretty good. I find that Digital Extremes is very good as well, the developers behind Warframe. And beyond that, there's not really a whole lot of developers, maybe KickSide, who communicate as well. And when you're this far out, when your ships that you're developing are not even completed yet, when you still have 100 people just testing them, play testing them, and the player base already knows, okay, well, this is what I need to save up in order to earn these ships. It's a great thing. I like being able to prepare myself and gird my loins and grind that coal, grind that free experience, and just get it done. You don't find that with a lot of other things. On the same token, we know that there's a couple of other temporary resources coming into play once the British carriers get released, and I am not really a big fan of that, but I will save that discussion for another time. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about this. Looking forward to Yoshino, Azuma, and Nostrashimi, which are available. Azuma for free XP, Yoshino for coal, and Nostrashimi for steel.